Miss Doyle. I teach English and journalism, and I think I've been teaching here for 10 years. I lose track of time.
My name is Nicholas Hangler. I have been at Beverly for 3 years, and currently I teach English 11 for juniors, English 12 for seniors, and ASB, which has all grades represented. Teaching students at the beginning of the pandemic was challenging. If I go all the way back to March, I had 145 students last school year. And for all of us to just go home with no real plan, the whole world, I mean, this is, we hear unprecedented all the time. It was completely unprecedented. I remember thinking back to the week before spring break, my students were all excited at the prospect of going home, that they were gonna get something equivalent to maybe like a snow day. And then for it to just snowball into what it became, it was really challenging. Last school year, I should say, I think every teacher in America and the world probably felt incredibly unprepared for an immediate transition to at-home learning. The one piece that was really challenging, especially for me, was not knowing some of my students, meeting them through a screen instead of in person. The first week of school, I love the first week of school. I get really nervous, just like I'm a student again. I get anxious. I buy a new outfit. It is a very fun time for me. So the first week of school this year, it was just so different. And with time, I got to know my students. I feel like I know my students really well now, all things considered. I don't hear them talk as much as I wish I did. So that was really challenging, adjusting to the silence of Zoom. I'm somebody who feeds off of the energy of my students. So without that, it's definitely been hard. But, just as with anything, I've adjusted and I've gotten used to it. So I think that it was a rough ride, but I think that we got to a place where it became the new normal.
Teaching students virtually was very challenging for me. I was teaching from home, locked in a bedroom, and I could hear my daughter outside having either a really fun and amazing time or a really challenging time, and I couldn't leave to help her. And so the pull of being at home and not being able to be mom, and just having to be a teacher locked in a room was really difficult for me. And if we're going to be 100% honest, I cried almost every day for 2.5 months. I cried in between classes. I cried at lunch. I cried before work started. I cried after work. So I started coming to campus to teach so that I could kind of separate parts of my life, and that made it a lot better for me.
My teaching methods have evolved over the course of the pandemic, in a way that I'm definitely more comfortable with technology. It has really forced me to adapt to technological resources that are out there, and to, it's like trial by fire. We didn't have a choice but to learn how to use these programs. So I plan to carry a lot of what I've done in the pandemic into my teaching practice.
I love the idea of returning to school. I think that when schools begin to reopen, it means that life is starting to move back to what we knew as normal before the pandemic. I was already back to work, I guess. So coming to work every day wasn't a big deal to me.
I'm very excited about returning to school. I'm an extrovert, so I love being around people. I love being around my students. I got into teaching more so because I love working with kids. I love the everyday interactions that I get to have with my students. So I'm very excited.
I would love to see every student who feels safe to come onto campus, come onto campus. And I really mean who feels safe. So if kids are feeling lazy and they don't want to get out of bed, but they feel safe, I want to see them push themselves to motivate and come to campus?
I hope to see students excited to be back on campus when they do eventually return. I hope to see students positively engaging with one another, being grateful to be around their peers, being grateful to be around their teachers, and vice versa.
I wish that my fellow faculty members were excited about coming back to work. I think actually a silent majority are, and there's a small minority who were not pleased with coming back to work for whatever their reasons were. And it really made returning to work bristly.
I'm really proud of what our faculty, administration, and student body have accomplished this year. I know that students probably wish we had sacrificed some instructional minutes and that maybe they had an easier road this year because it was taxing and it was hard on teachers as well to maintain the 8 o'clock to 3:10 schedule from home. I'm not a parent personally, but I know that for a lot of teachers with kids at home, it's really challenging. And it was a really tough year for you guys as well, the students. I know that you guys were feeling the stress of being in a pandemic, the anxiety, the fear, the depression that came along with it. I just hope that we can move forward and that students will really just appreciate and teachers appreciate the mundane, the boring things that we took for granted before. And that hopefully we do get a little boost of morale, of school spirit, of appreciation moving forward. I feel safe being back on campus. I hope that if you're over 16, that you are considering getting the vaccine or that you already have gotten the vaccine. And I know that our administration and our faculty are taking every precautionary measure that they can to ensure your safety. And it's a two-way street. I hope that students aren't partaking in risky behavior and coming to school or traveling abroad and coming back without having first tested or quarantined or getting the vaccine. So yeah, I'm optimistic about the future. It's been a year of pessimism and doubt and sadness and depression. And I'm ready to move into a better, brighter future at Beverly.